Good morning, everybody, and thanks for joining us on the webinar today. And we're going to be taking you on a journey through the 5 AP benefits that Specsavers uncovered by introducing statement matching technology to their processing, and what that's meant for them, their controls, and ultimately to the mindset and morale of their team by doing that as well, and what that's also freed up the rest of the team to be able to do. And this morning we're going to be hearing from Nish Makwana, who is the finance manager of Specsavers, and we're also going to be hearing from Daniel Kimpton from statementmatching.com. And we're really pleased to be able to bring a couple of really great experts on the topic for you today. Just also before I introduce you to everybody, you do have the opportunity to ask any questions, of course, during the course of the webinar, and I'm sure Nish and Daniel will be happy to answer any questions that you might have at any point. If you put them through onto the chat function on the GoToWebinar panel, which you should find over on the left-hand side of your screen, put them into the chat function, and as I said, either Nish or Daniel or myself can answer those questions for you at the end of the webinar this morning. So at this stage, Nish, do you want to just introduce yourself to everybody?
Oh yeah, good morning everyone. Thanks, Ellen. Yeah, Nish Makwana, finance manager at Specsavers. So been with the business since April 2018, and I head up the accounts payable and accounts receivable function within the financial shared services.
Okay, and Dan, do you want to say hi?
Yeah, hi, good morning everybody. Thanks for joining. So yeah, I'm Daniel Kimpton, and I'm one of the co-founders of Statement Matching. So I'm going to be doing a short demo stroke presentation after Nish. So yeah, thanks for joining.
Lovely, thank you both. Okay, so at that point then, Nish, if I can hand over to you and just go through your journey for everyone today.
Yeah, so brilliant, thanks Ellen. So yeah, I thought I'd take you through a brief journey at Specsavers with our FSS processes, particularly in AP, where it's fair to say that over the years we've really faced a number of challenges with manual processes, and up until recently the business have really focused and invested heavily in process automation, which we've really seen some fantastic benefits from. As Ellen alluded to earlier, we have 5 key elements that we're hoping to achieve within our own FSS annual plan, which I'll come on to a bit later. But first, I thought I'll give you a bit of a insight into Specsavers and our journey as a business to date. So who we are. So for those that don't know, Doug and Mary pictured there on that slide are a married couple who started up the business idea of providing eye care services to our customers, literally over a game of table tennis. And as you can see, I've highlighted some key points of where the business has rapidly grown since it was founded some 30 years ago. So notably, we're a family-run business, which we've consistently expanded through various channels in healthcare services. We trade around 11 countries globally. And one huge achievement which the business are really proud of was back in 2008, where we opened up 100 stores in 100 days on Australia and New Zealand. And that's something the business and the board still talk about today. And just 10 years ago, in 2012, we became NHS qualified as hearing care providers, which was crucial for NHS patients, especially during the pandemic, meaning Specsavers were able to remain open and provide those essential hair care services. So finance shared services. So I'll give you a quick indication of how our FSS is mapped out. We have a headcount of circa 150 people, which are apportioned in various finance service teams. Our FSS team is led by our Director of Finance Shared Services, Sarah Atkin, who joined the business in 2017 and was promoted into a role in the summer of last year, and has been instrumental in driving automation within our teams. Notably for this subject, we have an existing headcount in AP of 45, made up of 1 AP manager, 1 continuous improvement manager, 5 team leaders, and the rest making up AP administrators. So a fairly hefty headcount, mainly due to the number of manual processes we've had to deal with in the past. So I thought I'd just share with you some numbers within our team. I'm just looking to move the slide across. Thank you. Yeah. So we support 1,500 UK ROI and Dutch stores, including 45 Specsavers group entities. Now those stores continue to grow year on year, and we process around 111,000 invoices per month. As our stores run their own businesses independently, essentially they're all franchises, all our store partners have direct relationships with our suppliers. So what that means is all statements and invoices are currently sent to us, as our partners, directly to them. So that means AP actually don't have a current central receipt of invoices and statements. So the challenges that we face when we first approached Dan and his team was unknown costs at the time of purchase for those stores, meaning receipts of invoices from our stores into our central support office were pretty late, meaning a short window for us to process and pay, which ultimately means a lack of visibility of invoices and long cycle times. As a result of that, that will mean suppliers contacting stores directly with potential threatening to suspend services. Of course, without any automation, all our invoices are processed manually, which could also lead to human error. In addition to that, when reconciling statements, the process for the team would be to export data out of our ERP system and work those statements via a VLOOKUP in Excel spreadsheets. So we're very much open to human errors. Okay, so in terms of what we're looking to achieve, so we currently have our top 12 store suppliers set up to bill Specsavers via EDI, and all 12 are reconciled monthly. One of the key benefits with partnering with statement matching has allowed us to reconcile our big vendors in a timely manner, which make up 80% of our processing volumes, and now has given us exposure to focus on those medium, smaller suppliers. As part of our annual plan, we hope to deliver our new P2P central invoicing solution, Basware, to all our stores and their suppliers. We've already landed this new solution to our group entities, where we've seen a vast improvement in our payment practices and relationships with our suppliers, where they have visibility of invoice statuses. To support our stores to the best of our ability, which allows them to focus purely on their customers' needs, we've focused on maximizing 5 key AP benefits by partnering with statement matching. First being control, meeting the needs for our suppliers and our central AP team to understand our costs by having statements received centrally, allowing AP to reconcile promptly and settle invoices. Value, having a purpose of what we're trying to achieve as an FSS support team, ensuring our partners can rely on our support. Efficiency, having the resource and tools to be able to carry out requests in a timely manner from a reliable solution and removing manual processes. Team morale, a sense of achievement by managing higher volumes in shorter periods, progression for our individuals, learning new skills via a different source, having the ability to train others using new tools. And finally, relationships with suppliers, a regular contact with our suppliers, meaning they spend less time contacting stores for finance related queries. So statement matching, the solution. So we began conversations with Dan, providing him with a list of challenges that we face. And literally within a matter of an hour, we were blown away with how statement matching could provide us with a cloud-based solution to automate our manual statement reconciliations. Some of the key aspects which really stood out for us was having nothing to install, which is fantastic, having accessibility via the browser, regular support and training needs, a daily data feed from our ERP system into statement matching. And in terms of the reconciliation and using the solution, it couldn't have been made any more simpler for our people. Statements could be received in any format and forwarded to a statement matching email address. The reconciliation process is carried out by a solution following a daily data feed, and line items are provided with a status back to the supplier. So once that was all delivered, we captured some feedback from our suppliers, which I will just share with you. Thank you. So, having gone live with statement matching in late February last year, as you can see, we've received some amazing feedback from some of our suppliers and feedback from colleagues who are using the new solution. Notably, on average, it only takes an administrator 6 minutes end to end to reconcile each statement. We currently have low volumes being reconciled due to our financial year end being in February, and we were also impacted by high COVID related absences, and then Easter hit us. As an AP function, we were fighting at the time a BAU, meaning we were unable to train out the new reconciliation solution across the team. The great news is, however, we are now back to meeting our SLAs and very much in the heights of training statement matching to the team, meaning we can start to focus on ramping up our statement rec volumes. This then means fewer queries from suppliers and our partners, in addition to a positive impact to our finance customer relations team, who currently fields 70% of their calls, which are AP related from suppliers. So ultimately, our objective is to reach at least 200 reconciliations per month in the financial year, and we will look to continue to build this as we deliver Basware and continue to build our relationship with statement matching. So that's it, everybody. Thanks very much for listening to our journey to date, and I'll now pass you over to Dan, who'll provide you some more details.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Nish. That was really good. So yeah, hi everyone. I'm going to do a few slides just to kind of give you some visibility of what the application looks like. Right. So yeah, like Nish said, this is a cloud-based system. So from a UI point of view, it's all kind of web pages, and this is the page that you kind of land on when you first log in. So it's, you know, lots of bright colors. We try and make it a happy place for users to go and do their statements. And then from here, you can, if you look on the right hand side where it says statement header, you can see that when the data comes in from the ERP system, it automatically reconciles each statement, and then it gives an overall status, which is what you see in the statement header. So you've got fully matched. That means all of the invoices that are on the statement are on the ERP system. Everything matches perfectly. It also means that you've got no open invoices on the vendor's account that are not on the statement. So what customers do with these is they would typically send a copy of the report to the supplier to say that, you know, I've got all your invoices, here's the due dates for payment and so on. And if you're doing three-way match, you'll have people that are looking at the GRNI accounts, and if you've got a fully matched statement and you've got any goods receipts that have not been invoiced and the posting date's prior to the last invoice date, then you can go and clear them down and return them to profit. So that's been a big driver for lots of our other customers. And then kind of moving down the list on the right, we've got statements where they're fully matched, but there's data mismatches. So that means there's invoice numbers wrong, invoice dates are different, currencies are incorrect, that kind of thing. And then the third one is where you have invoices that are on the ledger, so they're on the vendor's account unpaid, but they're not on the vendor's statement. So Nish alluded to this. This is where your missed postings are going to be, you know, posted to the wrong vendor account, for example, or it could be a duplicate. And then the one at the bottom, incomplete matching, that's where you've got invoices or credits that are on the statement, but they're not on your ERP system. So they're basically missing invoices, missing credits. So that tends to be people's priority. But from here, if you want to go and work your statements, you can do it in different ways. You can run reports. So you can see on the dashboard, I've got things like missing credits. You know, this is big in the US where they want to go and get all the missing credits because of the escheatment laws over there. But that would basically give me a list of statements where I've got missing credits because I might want to work on them in a sequence. But what shared service centers would typically do is they would use the search function. So this is, you can put different selections in, you know, your company ID, that's like the legal entity company code. So you can put a company code and a supplier selection in, you know, based on the alphabet, for example. There's different ways to associate vendors with accounts payable users, you know, so we kind of fit in with how companies work. But from here, if I hit search, it's basically going to give me a list of statements. So you can see now I've got a list. And I'll show you, I've mentioned missing credits. I'll show you an example where I've got missing credits. So we call them incomplete matching. And this is what the main screen looks like. So this is where users spend most of their time. So I'll kind of explain what you can see on here. So the data on the left of the green ticks is where that's the supplier's statement data. And then on the right is the data from your ERP system. So you can see, you know, most of the items match, but halfway down, I've got a credit that's missing and I've got an invoice that's missing at the bottom. So typically customers would want to contact the supplier here to, you know, not only say, well, I've got some documents that are missing, but actually share the fact that you've got the other documents. So there's different ways of doing it. You can select, you can email the supplier from here. So we've got like a little email vendor function. The email address would be, you know, one of yours. So any replies come back. We get the email address from the vendor master. And then you can put a, you know, subject in, and I've been really nice and said, you know, please send me a copy. And you can either send a full report, you know, so that shows what's matched, what's missing, or you can send a copy of the report where there's only errors. So I'll show you what the report looks like. So this is what the supplier would get via email. This would have the Specsavers logo or your logo on top left. And then you can see where there are documents missing, we're basically saying to please send a copy to this email address. So that's configurable. And then for the documents where, you know, they're matched, I'm actually giving them the status. So you can see I've got some that are ready to pay, I've got some that are in process, and I've got one that's paid there. So there's a payment reference. But those kind of status descriptions can be, you know, whatever you like. You can also download the same data to Excel as well, if you wish. You know, some people in finance are addicted to Excel, and Excel is Excel is editable. So some people like to use Excel rather than PDF because it, you know, they can add notes and color code things. And then back to the system, the other thing that we try and encourage during the training is if you put an action on someone to send something in, you can add notes in the system to say that you've done it. So you can see that any lines that are missing, I'm saying, you know, please send you copies. And, you know, I've requested copies, and then you can basically bulk update the lines. And you can also, we've also got something that you can define that's called user status. So I'm going to set this as I've requested a copy. And then I'll show you how you can then manage the follow-up process. So back to the search page, let's say some of my customers have got like a two-stage process. They'll rec the statement, follow up the exceptions, and then for the bigger suppliers, they'll want to check them again before month end to make sure that if there's any outstanding copies that they've received them. So you can select based on user status, hit search, and then I can see actually, you know, I've got one supplier which is fully matched. So that means they must have sent the missing invoice in. The statement's got re-reconciled automatically and it's now fully matched. But I've got two suppliers who, you know, have ignored my request. So, you know, I would want to go and follow them up again and find out why the supplier is ignoring me. Right, I'll just show you a couple of other examples. I want to leave plenty of time for questions at the end, but I just wanted to show you an example where you've got other types of error. So it's this one at the bottom, fully matched with data mismatches. Now this is a bigger statement, this one. It's over 500 lines on it. And what you do is actually put a filter on to say, show me the ones where there's an error. And then you can see, you know, these are quite common. I've got, you know, one here where the amount's incorrect. It's 105.78 on the statement, and it's on your ERP system with an extra 1. So that could be, you know, you've keyed it in incorrectly. That would also could happen when you've got OCR solutions as well. The second line on there is a really big problem. So that's a credit on the statement. So the supplier sent you a credit, but AP were obviously on autopilot that day. They put it on as an invoice, you know, which again does happen, but we've caught it so that we can resolve it. And then I've got some there, you can see where I've got the dates are different, the amounts are different. So what you would do is you would fix them on your ERP system, and we would get the changes in the daily file, and the statement would get re-reconciled, and these would all go green. Or if you don't fix them, they'll remain in error. So that's an example of mismatches. And then the last one I was going to show you is where you've got invoices that are on the ledger, but they're not on the statement. So if you look at this one, for example, everything is matched on the statement, but we've got an invoice on this vendor's account that's unpaid for 286.80, and it's dated back in Feb. And if you look up on the statement, it's a regular amount that we get from this supplier. You can see I've got one in March, one in April, so this is likely to be a duplicate of the Feb invoice. But again, because we're proactively reconciling a statement, following up the exceptions quickly, we're catching this before it's paid, and then saving the time of either having to go through a recovery or you never see it again because you just don't notice it. So that's why it's important to, if you can do statements and do them proactively, you're going to stop all of these errors happening. So a quick one on reporting. We've got lots of statement-based reports. You can run things as a summary. How many statements have I received? What was the value that was reconciled? Look at that on a monthly basis. What were my statuses? And start tracking performance over time. And then you might want to work on things in a sequence. So for example, people might want to look at the missing credits first, missing invoices, because that's more important to them. And they can all be run by company and by vendor. So if you run a shared service center, again, you can only look at the statements that are relevant to you as a user, which is quite neat. And then we've got some supplier-based reports. The one that pretty much everyone uses is the critical supplier report. So most customers have like a key list of suppliers. I must reconcile these because they're my preferred suppliers, or they're very noisy, or whatever the reason is. And actually, as a manager, I want to make sure that let's say midway through the month, have I received a statement from all of them? Yes or no? Go and chase the ones who haven't. And at the end of the month, I want to see that all of the statements have been received and the status has been set to complete. And we've also got an audit report as well. So most of the customers, you're all audited by the same people. So we've got like an audit report which kind of meets, the external audit requirements. But we can share copies of these post the event. Just as a little takeaway before we get to Q&A, we do a proof of concept with everyone. We did it with Specsavers, we do it with every customer because it gives you the opportunity to actually see it working with your data. You don't need IT, anyone in AP can give us the data they need. And we basically get data for, say, up to 10 suppliers. You get all of the open invoices plus 3 months paid. You send that in Excel. And then you give me some statements. It can be Excel, PDF, or scanned images. And then we load it in the system, and then we provide training. And we basically go through all of the recs that you've sent us, and we show you how the whole system works. And then we let you loose on it. You get up to 4 weeks. Most people don't need that, but that's kind of what we set as a time limit. And then we just give you all the support that you need to kind of make that a success. Pricing. The way the prices work is simple. There's no upfront costs, no license costs or anything. It's just a 30-day rolling agreement, minimum term, and there's a fixed monthly subscription based on your annual invoice volumes. And then there is also a statement charge, and that's variable based on the format of the statement and how many statements you upload. So that's how the pricing works. And that's me finished. So I'll hand back over to Ellen and Nish. And yeah, thank you, everybody.
Lovely, thank you, Daniel, and thanks also to Nish for going through that story. And I think it's easy for everybody to see who's been listening and following the story today from Specsavers and how you've worked with statementmatching.com to see how you can get those 5 key AP benefits back to your AP team, talking about control, supplier relationships, value, efficiency, and of course team morale as well. And I think going through all of those things that you've done just now, you can really see how you can get those kind of benefits into your own AP teams. So we have had some questions in, and if you want to add to those questions as well, that would be great. As I said, there's the chat function over on your GoToWebinar panel, so just type those questions in, and we can certainly ask Nish or Daniel to answer them for you. So first one, Nish, I think this is probably for you. 81% of invoices come through EDI. Are the rest manual, and are you hoping to automate the rest of them?
Yeah, absolutely. So the rest are manual, in the fact that in today's world, while we're in the process of rolling out our new P2P system called Basware, which we've rolled out for all our group entities to date, which we started at the beginning of last summer. But currently, all our store suppliers that are not on EDI, their suppliers send in a PDF invoice or even a paper copy of an invoice directly to those stores, and then those stores will have to send it in via an email in PDF format for us to process manually. So we're hoping to roll out Basware to our store partners the sort of second half of this financial year into next financial year, meaning that we'll have to contact those suppliers and get them to onboard and register onto Basware, so we can start getting a central receipt of invoices, and from there we can start assigning those invoices out to those partners for them to either approve or reject. So yeah, so exciting times ahead.
Right, thank you. And you said that it improved team morale. Did you come across any resistance initially?
Not really. We've got good people within the business, and I guess the team have absolutely been crying out for automation, getting things done quicker, not pressing buttons all day and keying invoices, learning new skills by having automation, and it give people a chance to develop career-wise as well, and learning other skills has really been beneficial.
Yeah, I think it's that need as well, isn't it? People in the team understanding the need for it, and then, as you say, upskilling themselves and doing something different.
Absolutely.
And I think it's for you, Daniel. How long does statementmatching.com take to implement?
Yeah, there's sort of two parts to that. On our side, so once the customer has given us the ERP data, we can have the system up and running, within 3 to 5 days. So it's, we basically provision new clients on a Friday, and then the new client is available on a Monday, and then we would import the data and we would be ready to do the training. So that part is very quick. Now, the bit the kind of thing that dictates the time is how quickly the customer can get the ERP data to us. So everyone on the call will know that in AP, if you've got a requirement for a data extract, for example, you have to kind of get in the IT queue to get that done. And I guess the implementation time is really dictated to how long it takes your IT department to get the data. So we found that can be anywhere from 2 weeks to months, because AP are always at the back of the queue, and other departments leapfrog them in the priority sequence. But
yeah, I guess that goes back to working with the rest of the business, isn't it? We talk a lot about business partnering here at PPN, and I guess that's one of the things that you can do if you can get your IT team to understand the benefits, not just to the team but to the business overall. That helps perhaps get over that idea of AP being at the back of the queue. So actively work together on that.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it just depends on the time, really.
Sure.
Sometimes customers have to fit in with, there's an ERP upgrade, then that takes priority, so other kind of developments get fall by the wayside, and then other times they have a window and say, right, well, we can get this done now, and then it all gets done really quick. So it really does depend on the customer.
Sure. Okay. One for you, Nish. How did you actively track improvements in AP?
So the key for us is the reduction in FCR calls. So all our suppliers and partners will raise queries in terms of overdue invoices or invoice statuses through our FCR team. So as I mentioned earlier, 70% of our call volumes within the FCR team are AP related. So the ambitions is for that 70% to reduce more and more with the more statements that we reconcile. So suppliers are very much kept up to date with the progress of our invoices. and we've already started to see that 70% start to reduce over the last couple of months, even though with a small amount of suppliers that we are reconciling today, but we are very much focusing on those high volume suppliers.
Okay, thank you. Dan, if a supplier has multiple accounts and sends in statements for each, how would statementmatching.com manage that?
Yeah, so I mean, the very first time we ever implemented statement matching, this was a requirement, and it's a requirement everywhere. So this is where for BT, for example, you might have 10 vendor accounts for BT on your ERP system, because procurement's out of control. There should be one, but there's many. And on statement matching, we've got something called link suppliers. So if you've got 10 BT accounts, you would basically put them in a group. So you've now got BT as a group, and then you've got 10 vendor accounts. And then if you get a statement from BT, it recs the statement lines against the invoices that we've got for all 10 of those link vendors.
Okay. Thank you. And does the app connect to SAP, or how does it take the company's AP data? Is it a web-based solution?
Yeah, so it's cloud-based. So for SAP, we actually have a pre-built SAP certified ABAP report, which we provide to customers as a transport. So it's effectively already done. They can import that into their dev system, move it through the landscape into prod. So there's nothing for the customer to develop if they use SAP. For the other ERP systems, we pretty much cover them all. And the IT department of the customer would typically develop the data extract report themselves. And then we're not connected to their ERP system. So there's no connection between statement matching and the customer's ERP system. They're basically outputting a file, which happens overnight, and then they push that to an FTP account via SFTP. And then it gets imported into statement matching from there. So it's kind of, the data is getting pushed rather than us coming to get.
Okay, all right. And it's probably a related question. How do statements get into statementmatching.com? Is it through scans or a PDF, for example?
Yeah, so how the statements get in. So customers typically have a mixture of Excel, PDF, and still some paper, which end up as scanned images. So the Excel and PDF statements can be in whatever format the supplier gives you. Doesn't matter what layout, what version of Excel, how many columns. Just as is, you basically forward them to an email address that we give you. So Specsavers, Specsavers at statementmatching.com, they would just forward them on, and then we extract the data from the Excels, the PDFs, and the scanned images as part of the service, and then we upload them into statement matching. So it's a no-touch process for the customer.
I see. And is there a language translation for statement matching for statements in statementmatching.com?
Yeah, so we're processing, as well as doing statements, we do about 5 million invoices a year, through our service center. So the statements and invoices all go through there, and we're processing, pretty much every language that you can think of in, Western and Eastern Europe. We've got customers in APAC and the Americas. I mean, they're mostly English anyway. And if you think about it, from a statement point of view, you're really capturing a date and a number. That's what you're capturing. So language is not an issue from a data capture point of view.
I see. Okay. And Nish, what other kind of automation do you have in place, and does that interrelate with statementmatching.com?
Yeah, so it's the Basware new P2P centralized invoicing solution that we're currently deploying across, or we have done across our group entities and then into stores. So again, having suppliers register a free account on Basware and then sending their invoices into one Specsavers Basware email address, and then Basware will map their invoices into our workflow queue, and it picks up the digital copy, and essentially means that AP doesn't have to have less touches of an invoice, and it captures all the header data, which we can then forward on to cost center managers to code and approve invoices. Likewise, we would do for our stores as well. So that automation comes into place. and then those invoices will then transfer into our ERP system for payment the same night, which will be fantastic for our team. And then ultimately, that sort of ties in nicely with statement matching, where we can really reach out to a number of our suppliers to start sending in us statements, so we can do more and more of those reconciliations on a weekly, monthly basis. So I think that captures quite a lot of our FCR calls that we have today.
Yeah. And that sort of feeds in directly to all of those 5 key benefits, doesn't it, that we were talking about just now, you know, the cost, value, efficiency, and those supplier relationships as well, doesn't it? And of course, when you get all of those things right, it influences the team morale as well, doesn't it? So you can really see the whole picture building here. So how does the solution work with the ERP system? Does it work with any ERP, Dan?
Yeah, we've pretty much got a customer that's on everything that you could think of, including they've actually upgraded now to something modern, but you know, they were on their ERP system was written in 1985. You know, it was a bespoke, you know, written in C++ years ago. So yeah, we've had everything from kind of that up to the Oracles, PeopleSoft, Lawson's, you know, Dynamics, all the usual ones.
Right, okay. And then finally, does Specsavers use the supplier portal or their own versus, I'm not quite sure, versus AP teams? So do you use a supplier portal or do you use something of your own for that, Nish?
As in what's statement matching?
Yes, I think so. I think that's the question.
No, so we use the statement matching browser, which is provided by statement matching,
Right.
which we all get our own logins and passwords.
Splendid. Okay.
Just to add to that one, Ellen, depending on what the question's aimed at, obviously Specsavers have implemented Basware, which will provide them with portal functionality for suppliers to log in and see the invoice status. So I would expect Specsavers to probably leverage, you know, that one, because they want all suppliers to be registered on Basware. Statement matching does provide its own portal as well for suppliers to see their invoices online. So that's something that's, you know, it's part of the standard. It's there whether you use it or not. And then suppliers can, you know, basically log in and see the status of their invoices and payments, submit messages, and they can upload statements. But Specsavers are not using the portal. I would expect Specsavers to be using the Basware portal because that's the core sort of invoice solution.
And I guess it's just having that flexibility and being able to use your own elements of automation that you have, or the statementmatching.com one as well if you want to.
Yeah, because you always want to have one portal, not multiple.
Well,
suppliers get confused enough as it is.
That's a whole other conversation. I think we could have a whole other webinar just talking about that on its own. But okay, I think that's all the questions for now. But if you've got anything else, anybody on the webinar thinks of afterwards and wants to ask either Daniel or Nish, then I'm sure both of them would be more than happy to answer any questions that occur to you afterwards. So thanks everyone for the questions that you have put forward. And if you want any other information, then of course just let us know. We will be sending the slides out to you and also the recording, so you'll have all of that to refer back to as well. But thank you, Nish, for sharing your story today. Been great to hear everything, all that you've been doing, and we can't wait to hear what else you're doing as well in the future. So hopefully you'll come back and tell us all again. And I know you, and in fact you, Daniel, as well, are going to be joining us at our annual event on the 7th of June at the Hurlingham Club. So if anyone on the webinar this morning hasn't yet registered, then go across to our website and you can come along and join us at our annual event in London, and both Nish and Daniel will be there as well. So you can ask them any questions that you might have then. But so thank you, Daniel, and that was great and great information, and thank you, Nish, as well. So I wish everybody have a great day, and hopefully we'll see you all soon. All right, take care, everybody.
Yeah, thanks
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.